still below 20, I believe. They were still 19.5, maybe. I don't exactly know when they hit 20. Maybe I think it was after that when the core was actually going down. Maybe they never got to 20.
Yeah, I don't think they did.
Because Uther actually does come back with the 20.
It might have been like, yeah, like as the core was going down, as they were losing members. But BOE, brave pick here for Tempest. You know, I thought Ballistix might pull this one out over the Tomb of the Spider Queen there because the Hanzo pick is so good for them, but they might just not get the Hanzo pick, right? They have first ban. So if they ban the Genji, I think there's a really high chance that Tempest will just ban the Hanzo and they'll be stuck with the Malfurion first pick. Let's see, there's the Genji ban.
Battlefield of Eternity, though.
What's really
means you ban Hanzo. That's what we learned for the past hundreds of games and also MSB.
Yeah.
For all the world against SCSC's Hanzos. Yeah.
There you go. I was going to say, if they don't ban Hanzo here, I'm really excited to learn what their counter strategy is. Okay, Phoenix comes in first. This is another one of SC's heroes, but this is an SC hero that's insanely meta right now, so I can really get behind it. Li Ming shoots up in priority because of two reasons. Obviously, she has the ability to poke on this map, and if removed, means you have to win the race or you're kind of in trouble. And she's the perfect pair for Phoenix, so, and one of SDE's better heroes. So when you add all these things up, like of course Li Ming is picked in first rotation for Tempest.
Even though Good didn't really play that Li Ming too many times. I couldn't even imagine him playing Li Ming before, but he was proven in the final team fight towards Tempest, not toward the core of Ballistix, right before when he just got flanked and got the kill on the Hanzo. That was enough to have the Li Ming pick.
Yeah,
before that he couldn't really do too much because of all the waves and the web weavers blocking all the skill shots of the orb.
Yeah, I mean, he did some consistent damage and he was able to help push with the web weavers, but otherwise, yeah, in terms of team fighting, it was a little bit weak. Okay, we're gonna see a defensive Tyrael comp come through here. Normally, you see something like this and you think, I probably want to ban Sonya, maybe I want to ban Greymane. You think of all the heroes that get empowered by the Tyrael and how terrifying they can be. But looking at it a different way, I think you just try to isolate SDE's hero pool. Like, who does he play in this situation? Volstad's an option that de-synergizes with the Tyrael. I don't know, like, Sonya's the glaring one where you're like, well, this will be a good ban no matter what, because I don't want them to have it, but you don't have your soul laner yet, so that could backfire on you.
Do you want to check, did he ever play Artanis?
Jungha? I think probably in his career at some point
or
he's touched
SDE.
it. I'm pretty sure SDE has never played.
Maybe they want to go all the way back and bring Vala. That's an option, depending on the picks of Tempest after watching them get third and fourth pick.
You know, I mean,
SDE did play Artanis 2 times.
Interesting.
And Jungha only 3, so very low.
You think that there's a chance that makes an appearance here? I mean, that's really reaching. We talked about desperation haymakers, but it would give them a lot of race potential. They already know that's the comp they're supposed to build because the Li Ming's on the other side. They have the Tyrael. You know, it's not a bad idea. It's just so out of the meta that like it's over their heads, I think.
Yeah, they do have some options, so they can still go with Tracer Tassadar. I think that's another way, just having the shield, extra shield from Tyrael. And this time they do have Karazim. Signs of Uber are pretty terrifying, so does have that locked in. Evrel once again.
This is more for Peel, I think, in this draft. And they banned the Dahaka. I think this almost forces the Sonya. But it doesn't pair well with Karazim. It's a little bit awkward here for Ballistix now, again. Tempest has so many different options for their final DPS as well. They could just pick a safe mage that allows them to disengage. They could play something like Lunara. I think the world is their oyster in terms of their final pick, whereas for Ballistix right now, you have to wonder, they know they're the racing comp. So how do you race? The volley you mentioned feels really risky and outdated. Artanis, you know, you're really reaching there, I think, if you're pulling that one out. But this is the SDE hero. Is there an argument to play a mage here? I don't think so. Versus Li Ming and an insane front line, you're going to have problems with Jaina. She's not going to be able to do it. Oh,
Just
God.
an old task tracer. Didn't have that feeling as we saw the Uber up and Sergeant Hammer.
So more poke.
Which
Tempest,
means
the only thing that's missing for Tempest is like extra protection for these ranged heroes, but Tracer's damage has been nerfed. And already with Karzim earlier, they were able to shut it down. If they could shut this down with Malfurion and ETC, who does well against Tracer, I think the draft is good. Do you prefer the draft of Ballistix or the Task Tracer?
in this case, I think it would, in theory, it does work a lot better with Karazim this time instead of the Rehgar game 1. And they also have Tyrael for that extra shield onto Phoenix, as well as Tracer, so Tracer is not the only DPS. So they can have a lot more kill potential, but on what Tempest actually brought here is for sustain. Sustain wins the game, sustain. Basically win game, get that objective, which is one of the strongest in Heroes of the Storm, getting that Immortal, just making that push. That looks scary.
Definitely, I was about to say the same. I'm getting a little creeped out right now. Okay. Lockdown on Hammer, good on Li Ming. SDE will be flexing to the Phoenix. It's not his first time, but normally a hero played by SC. So a little bit of an overlap here, but fitting for the map. Tommy waits behind the wall here. Big hammer stun coming out. Minions spawn. Get a little bit of damage done, but Li Ming will do the same over here.
Yeah, because it's actually a response. Because you know that Sergeant Hammer will be just locking this one down.
Yeah, it's a lane swap. There's another thing too to keep in mind is Ballistix doesn't have a traditional solo laner. Material used to be, not really anymore. So this works well because Task can, while wave clearing, also shield. So Ballistix wins the race. This is actually pretty smart early game play. I like the Task pick so much more when this happens, because you're punishing the hammer while also finding small advantages. This is the part where it gets scary though.
Yeah, not too bad, but if you go for a long time race for the core, I think Tempest wins overall because Ballistic, they have the damage onto the building, the structures, but they can't really have massive wave clear as much as Tempest does. So eventually they do make the rotation at the fourth down.
It's just because Tastar can shield. So on a very short cooldown, you can eliminate so much of what Sergeant Hammer is trying to do. It's eventually going to still be the port trade, but look at how much longer it's taking. And obviously part of this is because we saw the rotation up to the top to help Pharrell out, but basically Tempest is just one step behind. And they just clearly did not expect this to happen. Dami respected the initial rotation, but just didn't have the answer. That's going to be a kill. Oh, he killed himself with his Q with the D. Straight into Q, barely saves him.
It was a close one, certainly. For Tempest, it comes down to the fights for the Immortal phase. It's going to be the real interesting one because Ballistix, it's not the same siege. Phoenix has a lot of siege damage, but once it doesn't really connect with Karazim Tracer damage when they want to get the kills on the Li Ming or even Nirel, ETC is possible. But the real target they actually want to focus fire on is the Sergeant Hammer. But once they can't really get a kill, once the Sergeant Hammer is just healed off, can sustain, just keep on doing the damage onto the Immortal, that's going to be troublesome for Ballistix.
Yeah, Ballistix doesn't have the ability to do that same level of damage. I think, like, looking at this right now, like, there is the Tastar aspect. You know, he's not a terrible, you know, in terms of damage, but like compared to other solo laners, he's a little bit weaker. Tracer does a great amount of damage. It's gonna be close, but like Tempest should, in theory, win. They're committing Sign and Dami over here to disrupt, though. And it ends up being very close. 300 difference, essentially, between these two before halftime. Leading for Ballistix with the rotation over. Hammer's already sieged up, though. And they're just going to try to peel. This is when it gets bad. This is the best place where you have Li Ming Hammer. Like, the enemy team is like, ooh, we can't get in there.
Oh, they're focusing on the great
Oh,
like gets the stun! The multi-stun from the Immortal as well. That was
so
a bad
unfortunate.
one.
So unfortunate for Ballistix there. That was the one place they did not want the Immortal stun to be.
Dude, Sign knew. As soon as the circle popped on the ground, he parsled it in for that stun.
He and the Immortal, man, looking out for each other. They will just barely 3K Shields win this with that double kill. Very well played by Sign. Sign's had a fantastic night, to be honest, on all the heroes he's played thus far, especially the ETC.
I think him being a dad now with his baby, it puts a lot more pressure and makes him to actually play better. His MSB was absolutely insane. Some of his Garrosh game was one of the best ones I've ever seen in my life.
Garrosh has been good. His EDC today, catching multiple members in choke points, this time getting the double stun into the Immortal stun.
That's the power of being a dad, which we will never be.
It's a daddy tanker, man.
Daddy tanker?
I don't know. I was just trying to say, I don't know. Pretend I didn't say that.
Okay.
I'm going to trace a recall out of that one. Yeah, man, it's the power of being a dad, yeah. So, level 7 talent advantage, the small one. Tempest just takes this. Well, they were looking to take the neutral camp. They respect Ballistix here. The bottom lane is vacant. These Tempest know, like, as you said with the wave clear, like, Tempest eventually wins, right? That's exactly what's happening here. And so Ballistix has to put like 5 up here if there's 5 for Tempest. Tempest is like, yeah, well, we're all here, so if you send someone bottom, like, you're going to lose out big time. But if you stay, you're also going to lose. So it's kind of an awkward spot right now for Ballistix.
Luna's quite low, he can't go in. And the real problem now that I see is they don't have any CC.
This comp is so broken in this game of Lost Caverns right now.
No CC. I mean, they can have, I guess, some.
I mean, Judgment post 10,
yes.
yeah, come on.
And maybe Force Wall?
Slow from the Q.
Still Nature's Cure from high, just in case.
Level 1 build, no. Old Tastar Psystorm, like back from the beta, yeah. Oh, I liked it much better when this was a game of Lost Cavern. They're trying to be all macro down in the bottom lane now. So, I'm gonna clear this, rotate down now. Tempest deals with the wave here pretty easily. They end up with a level 1 or 1 level lead. This camp gonna be, you know, pretty easy to deal with, but they gotta do this quick because Ballistix still does have a fast racing comp. I mean, remember the first Immortal was only a 3K difference, even with the double kill. So, gonna have to collapse on this. Lockdown's just gonna do massive damage as much as he can, and then Sign and friends are gonna try to defend. Good. They'll launch in some orbs. He's trying to flank again. Jungha finds him. Ooh, close to a max range orb there. Any kills in this fight give Tempest 10. So they gotta be careful. Oh, big stun coming through. SC does escape. Nice dimensional shift here. Sign is actually getting burned down. He gets pulsed. Nice pulse, and that's gonna be the first kill of the game for Ballistix.
Does kind of sacrifice himself, as that was the call for high, but the rest of the team was not in range perfectly. Maybe post 10 with the BFG and everything lined up together, that was going to be a kill on the Tracer 100%. But before that phase,
very, very close to that. Yrel going top to get that extra soak. Okay, SC avoids the boss stun. They're committing in here. Sign's back, he's mounted, they gotta be careful. Li Ming for the flank. Sign holding the power slide for now. Still holding it. They want to kill on the hooligan here. Sign doesn't need to power slide to get that kill. He just gets blown up here, but he's going to sacrifice himself to win the objective. They need more kills. Yeah, that is trait value. That's what he wanted to do. As we see a lot of heroics held here for Tempest, surprisingly enough. This may be a situation where you actually want the armor for Yrel, because you're, especially for Sergeant Hammer Li Ming, like you're able to provide a little bit of extra assistance, you know, in the team fight itself when the dive comes through. I wouldn't call it dive purely, but you know, Tracer Karzim can close the distance between you and the enemy very quickly.
And most of the time, the enemy was closing the gap, not
Yeah,
yourself.
that's what I mean. Yeah.
Yes.
Poorly worded by me.
It was kind of weird. Irel does manage to come down, so 6 knowing the rotation, and they do hit 10.
Does not end up going for Sacred Ground. Despite what we were talking about just now. Ballistix fight their way back into this game. Still a slight experience deficit, but they even up the structures with this. And they have 10. No judgment. Just going to be the Sank, which they could use to try to set up a fight here. Look at that sword coming through. Oligano was definitely ready. They were going to take the fight. He was going to make it happen.
Dami takes massive damage. Even good getting sniped by a C. It was close. A few more basic attack would have been...
Ooh, that was not the BFG they wanted. And Lockdown actually almost dies for trying to make that happen. Some really slick plays coming through there from Magi on the Karzim with a double dash in. Jungha can go get the free top soak. He's out of mana, so we'll Hearth Tome and then deal with that. That was a very winning trade for Ballistix in lane. Gives them the neutral camp that can leave and go take the Shaman camp.
Ballistix, they have lots of skill shots and they can snipe like that. But once they are caught in any of the CC, that will pair up with infinite crowd control to actually just finish their life right there. That could just turn everything around. They have the mosh pit. The problem is that Ballistix, they have nothing to really stop those CC from happening, so they have to really carefully, mechanically just move it by one.
That's why this comp, this 5-man on the bot lane is so hard, because you want to go into it, but then you're going to get stunned, you're going to get caught, right?
You have to have the best Sank ever, Hooligan, looking for that chance, making sure you have that holy ground for, Sank ground for your teammate.
Yeah. Force your way in, you know, sanctify through the CC. But you basically got one shot, like you're saying, you know. That one moment you have to make it work. If it doesn't work, there's no way out. There's no back it out. There's no cancel button. So it's a really cool comp that Tempest has built, actually.
It's gonna be the battle between Sign and Hooligan, as the one to hold the mosh pit, the big key, and the one to cancel basically everything, the sanctification from Hooligan.
Look at how close this is. About like 60 different. I think 59 different. I mean, these two, I don't know, I can't do math on stream, but like very close Immortals. Ooh, stun there on Hooligan. This is the moment. Ballistix is a little bit indecisive, they're pushed away. And when in moments like this, the Hammer Li Ming comp thrives because they can do damage while defending, basically.
Oh yes. And they are just so far in range. And Hammer just moving a little bit to the bottom side, and Lockdown consistently doing damage. Having everyone deep. They do have double support, so they can sustain.
They have to. SC is trying to force his way in here. He's doing a lot of damage to good.
But where do you put out that sanctification just for himself right now?
On top, he just wants to win this Immortal fight. That's what they want. Salvo goes out here, but it's not doing enough damage. His trait just barely should kill us, I think. No, not even close,
not
actually.
Even close. It was actually it seemed like it only had less HP, but it actually had thousands of HP left.
Yeah. When I looked at the health bar, I thought it would be enough, but in actually looking at the hit points themselves on the bottom right, they do commit back in.
Multiple targets though, maybe just going for the Immortal, sacrificing any of their members.
They win it, but they've got to get out of here. Good, they're going to take him with them. They actually might get more than they bargained for here. Ping's coming through, Sign wants to kill Jungha. SC, continue to damage. SDE is not going to be able to survive. Is this a winning trade? 25 seconds on SDE's death timer? You know, I think so. Like, I think this was the correct move
they
for
they were running out of time very soon. Lockdown was actually consistently doing the damage onto the bottom Immortal, and you can see the amount of shield. That was how much the Immortal was left for Tempest as well. So they wanted to get their own, and the moment they got actually focused on Li Ming right after was brilliant. So better trade for Ballistix for sure.
We're gonna get this keep ball down. We're gonna catch up in experience here. fact, could take a lead if they can get this keep. They've got a huge wave with them. The CC is something they still have to fear, but the Mosh is still down for 35 seconds. They don't take a risk. They back off instead. With SDE just coming back now, obviously going to get some free experience here. This is like 15 minions or so for him to just soak up right now. So that's going to put them even on experience. They're going to grab the top camp. The next Immortal is very likely to be the game-changing one because it's at least going to get a keep. Very likely.
Udami dives in with a 7-sided.
He's going to avoid the damage, though. It's actually very strong against 7-sided. Huge power slide from Sign. Again, he's killing it tonight. SC, he can't go right because of the BFG. He has to go left, which the rest of Tempest is ready to punish. So Sign turns this into a double kill. And now they can look for more and more.
Sometimes forget, but the pinball damage actually does a lot. Does have a long cooldown because of the skills, but that's the reason why pinball has been so popular. Green teams actually didn't take that too much before. Since the Eastern Clash, they have been slowly picking that up, really using that a lot in the MSB.
Yeah, it's getting more popular right now. Well, this is disastrous because this is a comp that pushes so hard when there are small advantages. And the lack of CC you mentioned for Ballistix means that there's just no way to threaten this. Like, Holy Ground is the only thing you're really scared about. And then that's it. SC can't even really get into range because Lockdown just right-clicks on him. And he got, of course, the mobile siege tank. That's what this is designed to do, is just be able to move around, poke. It's like this unstoppable cannon that you can't dive with this comp. Uh-oh. Sign wants more.
Oh, he's just pressuring. Look at that. He was fooling around there. Do you think I'm going to pop
Huge
that
salvo
mosh pit right
though.
now?
Huge salvo here. Good is in
Pressure's
trouble.
good.
BFG was pretty solid. Oh, there's the Sign power slide in the Mosh. Mosh not required. And Ballistix falling into Sign's trap again. Easily the MVP for this team tonight.
Let's see their choice. What do they want to do? Okay, it seems like they're going for the Immortal instead of pressuring it to keep a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, I guess on one hand, you could argue they could have maybe left Hammer on the Immortal and pushed down, but that's risky. And you're not going to be able to push as hard without the Hammer, so might as well just get the free halftime here. You've got the 16. Ballistix won't have it in time to contest you after halftime. Sign the god with these power slides.
Mosh was not really required, but just the power slide to keep Gleaming alive was just perfect. Sometimes you want to be aggressive as a power slide with the ETC. You forget your backline, but that was just enough defense.
Yeah, the Mosh there as well means that if Tracer tries to come into that location, she just gets stuck. So he's just thinking of everything, every potential outcome. And if he wins the fight, it doesn't matter that his Mosh is on cooldown for 60 more seconds because there's no way that Ballistix can really force a fight before then, realistically. So if they do it, they may pay for it. They do even up the talent tiers here. This is the push to try to end for Tempest. How does Ballistix engage? That's the problem with their comp. They have no initiation. Pulse Bomb is like their only way to get an opening pick, but when everyone's just kind of balled up here, massive damage that just you can't stop. So much siege here. Hooligan's like trying to find something with his Holy Ground, but Hammer plus Li Ming with the minion wave, like you're just gonna have to sit back and wait for an opportunity that may never come if Tempest doesn't make any positioning mistakes.
And the time's ticking down for Ballistix, keeping onto the keep. Pushing us to damage, and still has the shield. Now turns into melee.
Okay, there's the keep.
They want to push.
Hooligan wants to use this opportunity maybe to get a Holy Ground. He avoids that damage. Salvo, not the greatest here. Tranquility gonna help them turn this around. Okay, good wants to commit in. Really nice dodge there, actually.
At least force a little more damage to the core. Great skill out of
just to kill Hooligan. And he's gonna get blown up.
Without the sync, they have no protection.
And Jung-Ah is caught out to the side. He uses that sentry turn to stay alive. Magi gets the kill here and will 7-sided, but it's not going to be enough to save him. SC is caught. He's blown up. And Jung-Ah, with no dimensional shift, has no way to peel this away. That is going to be Tempest taking the series with a 3-1 score. Very dominant performance. The only loss they took was just in a moment of over-aggression there on Infernal Shrines. Otherwise, a pretty flawless series. And it's Sign on the ETC that comes up big in this series is a new Brock as well, paired very well with the Genji dive that we saw on Tomb of the Spider Queen. And Tempest, this is a meta that suits them. This is a meta that they understand. And for the side of Ballistix, it's time to adapt.
It's hard. It's hard. Even with a Task Tracer, you want to pick on a target for Li Ming. Maybe that's the best option, but after you post Ice Block, hard to get the Pulse Bomb off. Onto ETC, that was why they were actually focusing on the ETC. Irel can just pop that Defender, eat that Pulse Bomb, and even for the Sergeant Hammer can actually get that damage off with the plating on himself. So you can't really find the best target after seeing the Task Tracer multiple times from Ballistix. It is certainly not working.
It's such a cool comp, especially with Dami, like on this in this tanky solo laner. He also has peel, so you have two really cool peeling tanks, and then these two glass cannons in the center that just are untouchable. And the only few times where things start to look like for a second they might go bad, Hyde's just like, everyone's full health, by the way, Tranquility's out. There's no CC, there's not realistic dive on the side of Ballistix comp. Ballistix comp started out looking like it was an immortal race comp, and by the end of it, it didn't. It had no identity. You cannot look at this comp and say, what they're trying to do is this, right? It just doesn't. It's like almost protect the Phoenix to race. It's like Tracer plus Tyrael's really strong, so you know it's hard to kill the Tracer, so Tracer could carry. And you look at these things as like two kind of sides of the same coin, but on the side of Tempest, they have two strong ranged heroes that will crush the Immortal, that will push lanes hard, that will team fight you. They have burst damage, they have sustained damage, and you know it's just hard to crack that armor because of the Urel pick too. The Urel makes it so much harder because she has the ability to jump onto people to punish rotations, has the ability to smack people away with the hammer and stun them. Really cool to see Urel actually being super relevant in this series.
Yeah, Dami was actually diving in himself, actually baiting the opponent as well sometimes, and just keeping himself alive. That was what he was doing, and the entire team was just rotating up, helping him after, opening up initiations a few times, not really being big of a deal, but still being able to soak in that much damage and survive. I think that was the key. Even with ETC, ETC can actually get blown up by some damage from 7-sided and Pulse Bomb. That might just be enough sometimes. So I think keeping Irel as like sort of like the main tank and ETC to just provide the CC along, I think that was the perfect idea from Tempest.
Especially when you have such a great ETC player like Sign at the helm. It all just kind of comes together like a plan. I came into this series wondering what Ballistix would show us more than about what Tempest would show. I came into this series wondering, like, during the downtime between last week's matches, how much has Ballistix learned? How much have they changed their playstyle? And I feel like we got our answer, and the answer is almost not at all. And they take a game in this series with a really clutch call by SDE with the Falstad on Infernal Shrines, at a game that was almost certainly lost. They made a good call. They took a game in the series, showing that mechanical skill and decision-making for this team is still at the highest level. But meta picks for the draft is the issue. Like, the draft is the main problem that I'm seeing here for Ballistix.
I think they have to adapt, really refine themselves into better drafting and all the hero pools, because once that 3-ban hits,
it's going to get even harder.
Even harder. With their DPS, and even the solo lane can be in trouble. So I think they really have to work on, especially SC, their backline, the double DPS, SDE, and SC. The double S is there. I think they have to expand a little bit, and then once the meta shift a little bit more as we have more patches coming up as well. So maybe they can pick up that Rainer and just blow him away, you know?
Yeah. I guess Rainer will probably be
live
in 2 weeks.
Yes.
Yeah. So like week 4. That might be around the time that 3-ban gets released. So pretty exciting stuff.
And watch Rainer be banned every single time.
I think he probably will be, but that creates such a interesting dynamic. I'm really excited for 3-ban. So we are of course going to go to our winners interview in a little bit after we watch some highlights. I think most of the highlights are really going to be revolving around SC. Or sorry, not SC. I don't know why I said that sign.
You wish.
You wish, but not today. We're going to watch SC die a few times. I'm hoping we get to see that highlight from Infernal Shrines where SDE made the call, because we'll get a little bit of a replay of that. I'm going to have to go down the replays off the match so you can watch this again myself, but That was an amazing sundering. This fight was beautiful by Tempest. They baited it out, got the triple sunder there, and then salvoed. I mean, that was classic.
Who's the DPS now? The support did lose, but with the help of his teammate though.
I mean, SC shows his mechanical skill here, but unfortunately, this is the tracer pick not working as they would have liked. Good has the armor here, so I mean that fight was lost. Jung was just trying to see what he could pull off. This may just only be that top fight. Okay, so look at this. They did Hearth home. Look at Ballstad. Heading up. He's flying in. You called this out. The arrow forces them to, it stops them from retreating. The scatter arrow weakens everybody. Then the wind tunnel means no one's getting out. Huli gets in the perfect spot to deny good.
and luckily Hyde just using that cleansing flame just escapes from there.
Yeah. And then they just go for the core here. We're at 18 minutes into the game. The death timers get even longer throughout this fight.
Yeah, picks up a few more kills. They don't really care about the Punisher too much.
Yeah, the Punisher not too annoying. We head into Tomb, and this was just a Nubarok dive. Look at Lockdown onto SC. Like, SC's just really struggling here. X-Strike on top of him, he's dead.
Ooh,
That's it.
I think Magi was just a little bit too late on that D-Shield.
Yeah, and it ends up trying to save Johanna, which was impossible.
I think it actually went on to the cooldown, and he just died at the same time, might have been. It was a weird interaction there.
Yeah. Well, we know what happens in this fight. Watch Sign. Pulls him into the double stun.
Oh.
Orb gets massive damage there too. Look at how Dami baits this fight out. Again, look at the flank from ETC. Sign forces this fight after Dami baits the 7-side. It makes it look like he's a juicy target. And Ballistix totally takes it hook, line, and sinker.
Oh man, Sign's such a good tank.
Well, G-Glove, take us away to our winner's interview with Tempest and Dami.
네, 감사합니다.
Congratulations on your win today.
일단 오늘 발리스틱스 상대로 혹시 1회 픽을 예상을 하셨었는지가
Do you
가장
expect the
궁금했어요.
Irel pick to come out from
이렐이
Ballistix?
이제 나올 때 그 사인 형이 저기 이렐 무조건 쓸 것 같다고 해가지고.
And Sign actually called out that
알고
Ballistix is
있었는데
going to Irel.
그냥
Was
저도
going
상관없을
to
것 같다 해가지고.
pick up Irel certainly today. So we
아, 그 사인 선수가 그럼 가장
actually had that
먼저
ready.
눈치를 채신 거네요.
네, 요즘에 사인 형이 뱀픽을 너무 잘해가지고
Sign
상대가 뭐 나올지 다 알고 픽하더라고요.
gets all the drafting done for us.
선수
He knows
눈치가
everything that's going to
상당하시네요.
come out from the opponent.
저도 좀 배워야겠네요. 일단 본인은
Yeah, we
그럼
should all
눈치가
learn from that
있는
as well.
편인가요, 없는 편인가요?
저는 이제 눈치가 있는 편인데
네.
Do you actually take
이제 그냥
a sense of your teammate as well, or do you look into the atmosphere?
그러면 본인이 눈치가 있는 편이지만 지금 이 자리에서만큼은 눈치를 보지 않고 사인 선수 결제 없이 만약에 한번 대회에서 하고 싶은 탱커가 있다면
without Sign,
뭐가 있는지
just
말씀 좀 해주세요.
Having your picks done, do you have any picks
대회에서
that you want to play in
하고 싶은
HGC?
탱커는 이제 가로시 한번 해보고 싶어요.
I do want to play
그
Garrosh.
이유가 뭔가요?
What's the reason behind it?
지훈이 형이 가로시 할 때 너무 힘들어하길래 저는
Sign has a tough time playing Garrosh
잘할 수
sometimes,
있을 것 같아서.
and I
힘들고.
think I can play better.
같은 팀인 지훈이 형을 약간 견제하는 그런 느낌에서 보여주고 싶은 게 있다는 건가요?
So you want to show off your Garrosh skills?
이제 그런 말 하면은 좀
But
그렇고 그냥
I'm gonna save my words here.
네, 쌍남자시네요. 자, 그러면은 가장 위기의 순간이 2세트였습니다. 2세트에 약간 핵각을 되게 어이없게 내주면서 내줬을 때 팀원들 간에
And
어떤
losing the
대화가
core in
오고
game
갔는지
2.
굉장히
What were you
궁금합니다.
guys?
아 그거를
Saying at the moment?
내줬을 때 이제 상황이 제가 그냥 안 죽었으면은 핵가극이 안 나왔는데
If I survive, I think we could have
그거를
defended
이제
core.
4대5로 걸려가지고 그때 머리가 하얘져가지고
And
제가
We got caught
그냥 앞에
45
나가다가
up there,
죽어가지고 끝나가지고 그냥
and right after that, we just lost the
별로
game.
얘기는 없었어요.
아, 원래 이제
So we didn't really
그런
have,
상황에서도
like, too many bad feedbacks after that.
팀은 별다른 얘기가
Didn't really give us the shock.
네 이제 다음 판부터는 실수하지 말자 하고 끝났어요.
Yeah, we
오,
just said,
굉장히
let's just
침착하게
not make a mistake like that again,
편이네요.
and that was it.
알겠습니다. 그러면 이제 오늘의 화제, 이렐이 굉장히 화제였어요. 사실 한타 기여도가 낮다는
Now
평가가
let's talk about
많았는데
Irel once more.
좀 오늘
She doesn't really
이래를 이용하셔서
participate
많이
into
이기셨잖아요.
teamfight too much, but you were actually using her
그 이래의 어떤 효율이 가장 좋은
so well. How can you
플레이
actually
방법이
use her
있다면,
so well?
본인만의 방법이 있다면 한번
Could you give us
시원하게
some
얘기해 주시죠.
tips to the viewers?
이렐이 이제 좋은 상황이 상대가 이제 우리 마지막 판처럼 해머를 물로 무조건 들어와야 되는 조합일 때
And when
이제
the
망치로
Irel's really good when there's
저는
a
이제
diving comment
4레벨
from the
특성의
opponent.
방어력 증가가 있어서 아군 방어력 증가 그거를 옆에서 계속 띄워주면서
And I always keep my teammates up with the armor talent.
쉽게 할 수 있는 것 같아요.
And I think that's why I can actually have
블로그나 유튜브에서
a lot of our
다미
teammates
언니의
sustain
약간
as well.
신제품 리뷰 같은 느낌이 살짝 들었어요. 머리도 약간 좀 언니 느낌이 나셔가지고. 네, 어쨌든 그럼 다음 상대는 이제 미라클이 기다리고 있는데 그 미라클과의 경기를 임하는 태도 얘기해 주세요.
And next up, you guys will be versing Team Miracle.
충분히 이제
What do you think about that?
쌓아가면서 더 잘해줬을 것 같아서.
I think with the rework, I think
알겠습니다.
they're able
잘
to
들었습니다.
play a lot
오늘
better.
승리팀이지만
So we will try hard.
굉장히 또 다음 경기를 긴장한다는 멘트 잘 들었고요. 오늘 인터뷰는 여기서 마치도록 하겠습니다.
That was it from
오성현
Dami.
나와주세요.
All right. Well, there's our interview with Dami. Being pretty frank there. I think he's right about that second game. Like if he survived or if they reacted a little bit quicker, like they're able to defend the core pretty easily. But yeah, I think that's the kind of mentality you have to have that I think Tempest, with this roster that's kind of gone back to old form, they do have, where they just kind of say, you know, hey, like, we lost this game, but we're actually the better team. We win the series. Like, let's just move on and not make that mistake again. It's not really a team that gets easily shaken. Same with Ballistix as well, but both of these teams have so much experience that in a moment like that, you don't actually lose control of a series. You actually can stay firm and stay strong, knowing especially that you were so ahead in that game.
And also, you do know how to move on to the next one because you have a series, not just one single or two single games. You have to have crisp feedback to say, oh, that was a mistake. Let's not do that again and move on to the next game. That's, I think, the professional way of actually handling things and making sure detailed feedbacks happens after the actual match, so that can be fixed overall later with the practice. But Tempest, I think they have got it with the drafting from Sign, as what we heard from the interview.
Yeah,
it's great job in the play, the mechanics, and the drafting. Really, they were on top of Ballistix. We saw lots of problems on the other side.
Indeed. So, you know, Ballistix, I think the big concern is, you know, are they going to get passed by Miracle? Are they going to get passed by Blossom? You know, those are the teams I think that are the scariest ones right now for them. Because clearly of the top three, they're number 3. And then are they top 3 becomes the next question. They need to adapt. They really do in terms of their drafting, or they're just simply going to be left behind. Because the meta moves forward, not backwards. And if you don't follow it, if you don't move forward with it, then you will be left behind.
Yeah, and so many new heroes are coming out, but they were actually adapting into Irel, which was not really the best game for them. But Dami, on the other hand, he knew exactly, and also was explaining to the viewers how he was making sure you're against the counter team comp from your opponent, and you sustain first, and then you try to counter that with Irel. I think that's how you do it, and making sure your teammate also survives. Maybe having ETC could be one of the better pairs.
Oh,
right now in Hero League and all the team league, the Irel with the Sergeant Hammer team comp has been just near flawless.
Well, she's just so good at peeling for the hammer, right? So as long as you're not worried about your solo lane too much, like on a 2-lane map, for example, then or on Tomb of the Spider Queen, you're gonna do great in that setup. If you're on Dragonshire or Cursed Hollow, like it's a little bit tougher to make that happen, but really smart decision there. It was the insane glass cannon, pure siege damage, protected so hard by the ETC the URL. So it felt like there was just no way in to kill those DPSs.
And for some reason, we're talking forever before we jump into the commercials.
Yeah, I'm
soon.
not sure
I think the timing will come, but maybe just be Caster Oak talking forever, you know.
Well, I got the verification that we're going to be going to that about 15-minute break right after you said all you had to do was remind them. We'll be back in about 15 minutes, guys, with our second series of the night.
As Medan is getting